Although fake news is a relatively new term, the search for truth and transparency in the news has a long history. A new research study suggests there's a gold mine of largely untapped resources in academic experts who can help eliminate false or misleading information with their expertise. Justin Shaw is a chief higher education consultant with communications management in the UK and the author of Academic Experts and the Media in America: Benefits and Realities of Working with Journalists. Justin, thank you so much for taking some time to give us the 360 on this important report.
That's great. Good to be here and a great issue to talk about.
Well, you're a former journalist, a news editor, and now a consultant for the higher education sector. So you bring a great deal of experience from both areas. And you've been investigating how to encourage and incentivize greater numbers of faculty to share their expertise through the media. So tell us about the origins of this report. Why was there such a great need?
I should just add that I have worked in a university as well, heading up a press office. So I've actually got three angles to draw on from my experiences. But really, this is a huge challenge, and the premise behind the report is that we have a huge disconnect between the world of media and academia, and the reason behind that is because simply it's a collision of two quite separate worlds. So on the one hand, you've got the media, fast-paced, instant, based on telling a simple story. And then you have the world of academia, which operates more slowly. It's pensive, it's considered, and it's working in complexity. And also, on the side of the academic community, we have this fear of having their work possibly twisted, spun, or misinterpreted. So there's always been, in the 30 years I've been exploring this issue along my career, it's always been very contentious and delicate. And I think it's now coming to a head because, as you said, we have this issue where we have fake news, we have distrust, we have social media where everybody has a view. And what we need is academics to step up and set the record straight.
Well, you consulted with 28 media active faculty members across the US and with American professors who attract international media interest. What was the biggest takeaway from your research, and were there any surprises?
I think the biggest surprise is that obviously the people I was talking to are well versed in working with the media. They're very experienced. They've learnt the hard way and they've been supported on that journey. And I think the biggest surprise really was that they feel that there's a large part of the academia, a high proportion, that will never be converted to working with the media. But they do feel that there are probably another 20, maybe 30% of academics out there who are hesitant but willing, but just don't know how to. And that is being driven by the current appetite to engage more with the outside world. I'd say in terms of the findings, really, there are three solutions that came up. And actually, in my mind, they all begin with the letter T. So the first is about translation. So we know that academics need more help to translate their very complex subject matter and their views into everyday meaning. And for that, they need professional coaching, they need the guidance from the press office, they need peer-to-peer experiences as well, so feeding off other academics who've been on that journey. The second T is trust. So the academics know that they need to trust in their expertise more, need to trust in their integrity, their position that they have as an authority and a neutral stance to come in and look at the debate from different angles. And they also need to build that trusting relationship with journalists and feel that they can actually control more of the narrative. And then the final T, the third T, is treasure. And by that I mean the value and the rewards that are brought in handling and involving media interviews, and the resulting benefits in reputation, in accessing income opportunities through research and investors in other projects, and also the recognition that the university leaders themselves need to see this as something as a value as well and incentivize it and reward it.
Well, beyond this report, with your trifecta of experience, you've immersed yourself in the world of academia, which you refer to as this vital juncture of academia and media. In this age of media distrust, it seems like academics and journalists would be easy allies. What have you heard are the biggest barriers to the two fields working together?
Yeah, I think from the side of the journalists, you always have this need to meet a deadline quickly, to get a snappy soundbite, to have a contained package of news. And then on the academic side, you have this culture which is a bit more thoughtful and careful. So um, the two sides really need to work on those two limitations that they're facing to come together, but it can be done. I mean, certainly by talking to these academics that I interviewed for this report, you know, they are now so experienced at doing this. They have a lot of lessons to share in the report about that transition and the journey that they've been on. So I think it can be done. I think there's also a lot of myths in the minds of people about how journalists work, and they're out to get you and maybe looking to sort of disrupt and cause trouble. And I think that's sort of often in the minds of academics is the last thing that they want to get involved with. So that needs careful handling and management. But academics need to understand that there's huge benefits to this by stepping up to being interviewed by the media, and it can help their careers, their universities, and their own subject matter in so many ways.
Well, it's a growing opportunity for universities, particularly during a time when the pandemic could be affecting the bottom line. What is your advice for universities with faculty who could be sharing more of their research and their expertise with the public?
I think, first of all, I would say give it a go. So step up, understand that what you're playing into is an opportunity to reach quite a broad audience. And many of the academics I spoke to for the report mentioned that they felt that too much emphasis is going on narrow articles in journals, heavyweight journals, that people outside of academia will never ever read or understand. And that means academics will be contained in their own sphere. Whereas working with the public media means that you'll have a massive range of opportunities to get out there and to reach people that might be important to your subject matter. They might be people who, you know, if you're working in the health field and you're looking for clinical trials and for patients who could come forward and tell their stories to you, it's a huge way of reaching out and getting into that dimension. I think also there's the whole issue of giving a reputational leg up as well. So if you're an academic on the early trajectory of your career and you want to make a mark, and obviously you want to grow in your role and importance as your career moves forward, then the media has a massive role in supporting you to do that, to help you with that awareness raising, the reputation, and the global accessibility really as well of you as an expert.
Well, you can't look at the media today without looking at social media, which the study also addressed. Engaging on multiple platforms these days is essential as well. What did the study tell you about social media?
I think this is much harder than the issue of encouraging academics to work with so-called mainstream media. The concern there really amongst academia is that with social media, you're out there to a whole group of all sorts of people, some of which could be troublemakers to your field of interest, and so there's huge caution there about having to engage with people who might all have all sorts of hidden agendas or personal agendas, and also there's instant accessibility to everybody else to quickly pick up on the trends and the posts that are being made, and the whole debate or issue that you're working on as an academic quickly may get out of hand. So it's about worry about containment and management. Um, but again, I think you have to choose the content that you use. So the academics were telling me they tend to use social media to share their research findings or to request things, request information, to find things out. So they see it as a way of connecting with people. What they don't see it as is a way of boasting. And many said to me actually that they feel that social media tends to be overused for people to boast about who they are and what they're doing, and they don't want that. They simply want to use it as an engagement platform.
Well, it truly is an illuminating report. Academic experts and the media in America highlights the benefits that can be gained from media involvement by greater numbers of academics. Justin Shaw, thanks for sharing your insights from the study and giving us the 360.
My pleasure, and thanks for airing my views on this.